Welcome back to my channel What If Naruto. This what if on What If Naruto is the grandson of the second Hokage. The like goal for this video is 10 likes. Sooner the like goal is completed, sooner I will upload next part of this what if. Summary: Naruto is the grandson of the second Hokage and son of the fourth Hokage. Naruto is powerful. Naruto is the last of his clans and has a responsibility to make sure they live on. Female Haku. Relationships: Hyuga Hinata, Uzumaki Naruto, Yamanaka Ino Haku, Uzumaki Naruto Temari, Uzumaki Naruto. In a bed, Tobirama Senju was confused. All he remembered was feeling a sharp burning sensation on his right side and passed out. But now he is in a bed that wasn't the medical ward at camp but a house in a village close to the border ends of Kiri. The second Hokage and Water Dragon was in enemy territory, injured, and was not just worried about his safety but the person who nursed his wound and gave him shelter. "Ah, you're awake," said a very calm and to the Senju, the most beautiful woman he had ever laid his eyes on. "Yes, but aren't you worried that what Kiri would do to you if they know you are protecting an enemy?" said Tobirama with concern and blush on his face. "I don't care about Kiri, never did like the way the country was ran. Plus the daimyo doesn't like people with bloodlines, and so I ran from my clan to live in solitude. Oh, I'm Rin X Yuki clan." "You're the missing heiress of the Yuki clan that Kiri have in their bingo books," said Tobirama with shock in his voice. "Ex-heiress, those bastards were going to marry Maive to the daimyo's son who hates bloodlines more than his father and said to my face that he would make me a baby factor. Let's just say I ran away that night," said Rin with a scowl on her face. "Remember that little shit. If I were in your shoes I'd punch that worm in the face," he said, trying to make Rin laugh, which she did and made the Senju fall for her hard. That was a beautiful laugh. "I think I'm falling in love with her," thought Tobirama, his face as red as tomato. Rin saw his face and thought he looks so handsome like that. "Oh dear, I think I'm falling in love with this man." A month had passed and the crash they had turned to love. Tobirama told her to wait for him to come back to her and kissed her deeply, and Rin didn't have the heart to tell him she was pregnant, but a ninja's job was never done and forced herself to let him fight in the war. 3 weeks later, a man with brown hair and bow staff on his back with a sad look on his face. "I'm sorry, Hiruzen, I regret to inform you that Senju Tobirama was killed in battle," said Hiruzen, trying not to break his composure. Rin's eyes widened and pupils shrink and covering her mouth as she started to sob. She held her stomach and cried even harder as it started to snow on this sunny day. Hiruzen helped her to a chair in the house and let her cry. Every loud sob made Hiruzen almost broke down and cried himself, but managed to compose himself. Rin stopped crying and Hiruzen had to tell her the final word of his sensei. His final words were to tell you that even though you two weren't married, he would like if you went back to Konoha as his wife and gained everything he owned, Hiruzen said with a bow of his hand. Rin got up and walked to the window with a full moon glow in the light snowfall sky. "My only regret was that I never told him that I am pregnant. I wasn't sure when he left, but the next morning after he left I had morning sickness. That was when I was sure," Rin said with tears fell from her face. Next day Rin packed her bags and headed to Konoha with Hiruzen protecting her every step of the way. Hiruzen thought that by protecting her he was paying off his debt to his late sensei. Hiruzen would look after her for his sensei's sake. This was the woman that was carrying his sensei Tobirama's child, and he'd be damned if he couldn't protect her. It took a week to get to Konoha and Rin loved the way this village looked, but the face of Tobirama on the Hokage monument always brought a tear to her eye. She told herself that the pain in her heart, this void in her chest, was proof that she really loved him. Even if she would have to raise her child alone, she didn't care. She loved that man. 8 months later, her baby boy was born with blonde hair, which was a genetic mutation, but the baby boy was healthy. "Do you have a name yet?" questioned an old redhead. "His name is Minato," said Rin, sitting with Minato in her arms. "Even with the blonde hair, he looks like his father," the redhead said with a smile. "How's Tsunade doing you now after the incident?" said Rin in a somber voice. "She just met a man a week ago. I think his name was Dan. He reminds me of my late grandson. I heard Tsunade and her team are going to AIM. I hope everything goes fine," said the redhead, happy that her granddaughter is happy after the month of hell after Nawaki's death. 9 years later, Minato's last name was changed when he was 2 months old to Namikaze to protect Minato from the hunting of the Senju clan. Minato doesn't know who his father is. He deeply wishes to know who his dad was. But something is on his mind right now. There's a transfer student and all but one don't like her red hair. "My name is Uzumaki Kushina Databane," she yelled nervously. "My dream is to be the first female Hokage." Everyone but one laughed at her declaration. Minato couldn't understand what or how to put in words how he feels about this new girl. 1 year later, Minato and Kushina graduated from the academy. When Kushina walked home, she was kidnapped. She slowly pulled hair out and dropped it on the ground, hoping someone would follow the trail to save her. And to her surprise, someone was taking out the Kumonins one by one. It was Minato. Minato cut her loose and held her in a bridle hold and jumped on some tree. "How did you?" She was stopped by her hair in his hand. "How can I not follow the trail of the most beautiful hair in the world?" Minato said, never breaking eye contact with her. She blushed so much her face matched her hair. 6 years later, Rin is 55 and dying. She asked for her son to say her last words to him. "I'm happy that I met your father on that battlefield. He was concerned about me even though we never met each other. It was a long month with him, and Hiruzen told me he died. It broke my heart. I cried for what felt like days. Then I thought about you, that was in my stomach, and I thought to myself that was my biggest mistake not telling him I was pregnant with you," she ranted. Minato was shocked. His mother never talked about his father. "Who was he, Mom?" he questioned. Rin looked at her son and waved to come close and whispered in his ear real quietly, "Senju Tobirama." Minato was shocked he was a Senju. "If you have doubts, ask Hiruzen, but say Hokage Hode 66 first," she said, and told me to hold her hand as she passed on. With final words breaking Minato's heart. "Finally going to see your father again after 16 years, love you my baby and never forget me." Minato cried, which made it snow outside for hours upon hours. After he was done crying, he got up to see the Hokage. "Sarutobi-sama, I was told to say Hokage Hode 66, Hiruzen stopped him right there and signaled his Anbu for privacy. "So your mother told you?" "There were reasons we changed your name from Senju to Namikaze. It was to protect you. When you were 2 months old, they started to hunt them down. There are only 2 Senju left. One out in the land of fire gambling all her money away, and you. And here is the blood test to prove who your father is," he said, and passed him a piece of paper. Minato was happy and sad. Happy for finally knowing who his father was. Plus developing his own higher shinjutsu subconsciously. Sad because his mom passed away. But it brings up a question in his head. who targeted the Senju. They were a well-respected clan to everyone. Even the other elemental nations respected them. Was it the Ukas? Questioned Minato. No, Minato, it was a man who was jealous of my promotion to Hokage during the first Great Ninja War, answered Hiruzen. Your father was a great ninja, he had a great sense of character and chose me to be his successor as Hokage. But I never did want to be Hokage, but I took it because I was the right choice at the time. But my teammate didn't see it that way. He thought he should have been Hokage, and after the war he started his root faction and had the Senju eradicated for his petty revenge on Tobirama, your father. Our sensei, Hiruzen explained with a grim tone for his traitorous teammate. That's not all. He also let the other elemental nations know the weaknesses of Ueshiage no Sato and help in the direction of the Uzumaki clan. But we can't even touch him because he has the civilians' support. I would have him executed for treason, but with the daimyo being blackmailed. There is nothing I can do, I'm afraid, he said with a sigh. 3 months later Minato had mastered higher Shinjutsu and made his own. He just ended the two-ed Great Ninja War by killing 500 Daiwa Shinobi in a matter of seconds, giving him the moniker Konoha's Yellow Flash. He was proud of himself, but he felt like he killed too many people. Kushina gave him a gentle kiss on the lips and told him that his father would be proud of him. He smiled at his one true love and hugged her. A year later Minato would get a Genin team. His team consisted of Akayabito, Nohara Rin, and Hotake Kakashi. He gave them the belt test that his sensei did with him and his team. They passed but barely. Obito still fights with Kakashi over Rin. Rin has a crush on Kakashi but still focuses on her training enough that doesn't make herself look and act weak. Kakashi seems cold and distant. 6 years later Minato is declared as Hokage. He was happy to be such for 2 reasons. 1. He felt like he made his father proud. 2. He gets to piss off the old Warhawk Danzo. He felt great, but his old Genin team is now Kakashi and him. Kakashi has been acting a lot like Obito, with him always late to everything but an A to S rank missions. Minato gave Kakashi a S rank mission to protect Kushina, who was pregnant with their first child. Kakashi did for 10 months straight without fail. Kushina went into labor on October 10. Kakashi was let off duty because Kushina was having the baby and Minato was to protect her. But to Kakashi this would be the last day to see them alive. When Naruto was 2 he was kicked out of the orphanage and was taken in by Yamanaka Inoichi and his wife Kana for a year. But was forced to let him live in a rundown apartment in the old Senju district. Inoichi was pretty pissed. Hiruzen made a deal with him that he would train Naruto in secret. Hiruzen and a 3-year-old Naruto went to a secret training ground where he ran laps, push-ups, and sit-ups. Nothing serious yet. Old man, why can't I live with Inoichi, Kana, and Ino? Do they not like me anymore? Said Naruto with sad eyes and tears threatening to go down his face. Hiruzen heart broke and hugged him and thought, those bastards on the civilian council, how dare they hurt this boy? As Naruto starts to cry on his shoulder, no, they wanted to adopt you, but you are a case that can't be adopted by a Shinobi clan, said Hiruzen trying to comfort the boy. Hiruzen had told this boy his burden now so he could understand. He didn't want to, but fate twisted his arm. Listen Naruto, I have to tell you something and I don't want you to ask questions until I finish my explanation. Naruto nodded his head and wiped his tears from his eyes. Naruto the fourth didn't kill the Kubiai, he sealed it in you, Hiruzen said, and Naruto widened his eyes. That does not mean you're the Kubiai, Naruto. You're its jailer. In fact, your situation is common. They have a name for someone like you. They're called Jinchuriki, or human sacrifice. You protected us from the Kubiai. Also, if you hear bad stuff about you, ignore them. Why? Because the fourth Hokage wanted you to be seen as a hero. I'm ashamed of this village for what it's done to you, Naruto, Hiruzen said, patting Naruto's blonde hair. So they only see me as the Kubiai and not as a person, Naruto said sadly. You think if they see you as the Kubiai they are not worth your time, Naruto, Hiruzen said calmly, trying to cheer him up. How will I become Hokage if people hate me? Naruto said, about to cry again. If that is your goal, go for it, nothing is stopping you, do you understand? Hiruzen told Naruto. Then I'm going to be the best Hokage ever, Datbao, Naruto said with clear joy in his blue and purple eyes. Hiruzen saw both his parents and him. He made a promise with Minato to protect his son. He wasn't going to train him all the way, but enough to be a Chunin level ninja. He also looked at the boy. He had the Uzumaki bone structure, so Kinjutsu is going to be in his future. It's in his blood after all. He thought the mixture of the Uzumaki and Senju Kinjutsu styles and Taijutsu styles was a horrific thought. This boy will be the strongest ninja of his time when he is older. Okay, Naruto, we are going to unlock your chakra, so sit down and meditate, said Hiruzen calmly. Naruto did what he was told and sat and meditated. Okay, Naruto, you are going to focus on a warm energy around your stomach, said Hiruzen, sitting on a rock in front of him. I don't feel anything warm but something really cold, said Naruto. Hiruzen thought, so he got the ice release from his father, which is fine. Minato never used his ice release, mostly because his water affinity wasn't strong enough to do an ice jutsu. Okay, Naruto, mentally pull that energy outward, Hiruzen said. Naruto did just that, and that cold sensation he felt in his stomach was now all around his body. Although he didn't feel cold, he felt safe. Unknown to the blonde, his senses were sharpened. Oh, that's a large amount of chakra, Hiruzen said happily. Is that bad, Gigi? Said Naruto worriedly. No, but you will have to start chakra control exercises immediately, said Hiruzen with a smile. Hiruzen walked with Naruto to a tree and said, watch and you will learn, Naruto. Hiruzen put his hands in the tiger seal and walked up the tree. What you have to do is put your chakra under your feet. That works like a suction, but be careful because putting too much chakra on your feet will make the bark explode. You also get blown back, so be careful. I suggest a running start at first. Now if you make it up the tree I will teach you a jutsu, Hiruzen explained and hopped off the tree, then smiled at Naruto. It took 3 days for Naruto to make it up the tree. Hiruzen clapped his hands. Good job, Naruto, now come down and I will teach you that jutsu, I promise, Hiruzen said with a smile. Yes, my first jutsu, Naruto said with joy. Naruto stands next to Hiruzen. Naruto, look at this hand seal, Hiruzen said, putting his hands in a cross seal. Shadow clone jutsu, said Hiruzen, making a clone of himself.